I'm David Green, the co-writer and director of the movie.
I'm Andi Matichak, and I play Allyson.
I'm Rowan Campbell, and I play Corey.
I'm Hugo Garza, one of the set PAs in the 80 department.
My name is Attila. I'm a co-producer and assistant director.
In the original Halloween, they're watching a version of The Thing on television set when Laurie's babysitting, and so I thought it'd be a kind of a fun homage to that, and also to bring Carpenter and his body of work into the mix, because this film was not just a sequel to a John Carpenter film, but in so many ways it was an homage to the tone of characters and where the natural meets the supernatural, and so many things that I've loved about his movies, from Christine to The Fog, and The Thing is a movie that really affected me as a young viewer. So many of his films really affected me, and wanted this movie to feel like it was plucked from that world of inspiration, just as much as if you watch a Stranger Things, you think, well, there's such a Spielberg, Amblin note there. I was kind of feeding more specifically on John Carpenter's body for the inspiration for this movie. With each of the movies, we try to have some sort of theme told through jack-o'-lanterns, and Halloween 1, it was kind of coming out of a moldy pumpkin and reestablishing the title. Halloween Kills was the town of Haddonfield and all the various faces, and Haddonfield coming through as different jack-o'-lantern expressions. And then this one, it's what's emerging from one pumpkin to the next. And then this last one, which was just kind of an abstract idea I had of like ripping open a pumpkin. And we're used to seeing pumpkin guts and the kind of innards that are disgusting and you reach into, but what if there was almost a human inner body with no expression?
And this is the scene that proves that David Gordon Green should win an Oscar for casting shitty asshole kids.
A really fun cast. I mean, I always have such great joy with casting young characters, and this was a fun one to be able to put this unlikely ensemble together and take a lot of tropes.
So fun.
It's like the tropes of 80s movie bullies, but then put them in a marching band uniform and the four people least most likely to hang out with each other and put them in a car. So the main dude, Terry Michael, we get to set, and he's a Staten Island kid. He didn't have a driver's license, didn't know how to drive a car, but in the script, he drove a car. We get to set, he's like, I can't drive a car. And so we threw Stacy in the story, because I needed him to drive the car so we could get the flat so his dad could smack him in the back of the head. But then we just worked around it.
We didn't necessarily shoot this film in chronological order, but it was in chunks, kind of chronological, to the point where after the first few weeks, some of the crew were confused about what movie we were making because there was no Michael Myers. And they literally thought, oh, I think David is just squeezing in a little independent love story here. And
I mean, I basically was on an independent love movie.
David's mumblecore movie he's so proud of.
I mean, we really had a wonderful first few weeks in the sense that we were just free of any kind of action or special effects gags and stuff. And the second half became a very different shoot. But I remember the crew, because most people didn't have the full script at that point.
People come up to me all the time to say, like, is it stressful having to make a movie that appeals to all the Halloween fans? And you just think of like, no, it's amazing because there's so many people, you can't please everybody. So you get approached by producers that say, here's some incredible real estate, now build your dream house. And so over 3 films, we've taken different risks and taken different story paths and been able to do that 3 times, which we should be so lucky in a lifetime to be able to have those opportunities, that you have total creative freedom in a world that is so meaningful to you from childhood and the early days of my cinematic exposure, just to be able to take these characters. And like when you're a kid playing with your Star Wars characters or G.I. Joe, all the stuff I was doing as a kid, trying to bring strange little narratives of someone else's characters to life. And then here you really get to do it and flesh it out.
Do you want to talk about the casting of her?
You were there. You talk about it.
No, it's one of these beautiful things that we do. We have this specialty casting friend, John Williams, who purposefully seeks out people that aren't actors. And this lady comes in and she just gave us something so raw and beautiful that I've never seen David cast someone on the spot before. And he did. And she just broke down in tears and was just so overwhelmed with emotion. And it was a really poetic part of the casting. And she did beautifully. She did exactly what she did in the audition, which is hard considering she's never been on a film set. And now you've got 100 people staring at you with 2 cameras.
That was Jamie's first day on this movie, and I just remember her just smiling at me and just saying, here we go again, let's do it, rolling up her sleeves.
This is great. Our stunt double, Stanton Barrett, does this throw for me over the bridge, and it was into a bunch of cardboard boxes. And all I was thinking was, I could do that, probably, maybe. And then I watched him do it, and I was like, I'm not. No way, I'm doing that.
Well, the throw is
That man is fearless.
It's 3 shots to get you to throw you over the bridge there, but we obscure it with some sneaky edits as characters are crossing. So it's
Let's see if we can call it out,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. Call it the 3 shot. We try to make it look like one. So here's
Okay, it's me. Me.
so that we cross. That's a cut, and then
Stand.
now cut again. So it's all on his back as Terry crosses twice.
It's such a good cut.
This being the 3rd film that we had the great privilege of working with Jamie Lee Curtis on, just to be able to see both her commitment, dedication, and enthusiasm every day, bringing a scene like this where there's subtlety in her reactions, but there's a lot of story of, in her eyes, of what her intuition is starting to pick up on. And it's great. And on and off set, very often we'll say, what would Laurie do? And reach out to Jamie about ways that we could play it. And she's the first person to say she'll try anything. You know, she's just so fearless. It's an incredible opportunity working with someone like that's that open, that comes to set early with ideas, with support for the cast and crew, and really owns this character in a way where, as she puts it, her identity is kind of blurred with Laurie Strode in a way that she's really proud of. And one of the most bittersweet aspects of concluding this franchise is that we don't get to party with Laurie Strode anymore. She needs us. We need her. Then this is the big ask of the movie, is like, can we wait this long to see Michael energize? And I think it's a perfect thing of like, if you're buying a ticket because you need to see Michael and Laurie, then it's going to take a while for that to kick in. If you're watching what I'm hoping is a part of the Carpenter-inspired vernacular of characters in a community, here we go. Oh, this is a fun one, Andy, we should talk about. In the script and in production, this became a sex scene, and it never once occurred to me or anybody else on set. The reality of the fact that he's just murdered people in a sewer with Michael, and he's coming out of this moldy, mildew, infested.
I love that that's what people strike issue with.
And then when we
Not
show it
cutting
to
off tongues or anything.
Exactly. It's not the violence of the movie. But then when I showed it to the first audience, I don't know, it wasn't a big one, but I got an extended friends and family screen together, and like, they're having sewer sex. And everybody, like,
The one specific moment, I think I put my finger in your...
My mouth.
Yeah.
and then the idea that I
And it's the
crawled
Band-Aid
through
hand
this
too, so it's-
disgusting area,
I
and you just
mean-
chew on my hand, and you're like, not grossed out.
It's one of those things that until you're watching your movie with an audience, there's so many things that you think work and then they don't, or you think there's no way they'll buy this and then they do. It's so valuable to just watch it through the perspective of people for the first time that don't bring any of the baggage of the script or the production. That was one I was like,
Yeah, it was.
duh, you idiot. Like, God,
I
they're filthy. Who wants
It
to
just comes right after.
at
So
least take
it's
a
little
shower
tough to
first?
sell.
We should have just had a shower scene. It would have all been good.
The cat that jumps up on the sofa was just a cat that lived at the junkyard. And I got so much love and companionship out of that cat on set.
Okay, relax. You had it from everybody.
It was-
Like fucking Corey, fucking Laurie, fucking Allyson, fucking Michael, fucking the cat.
It's just all a big
fucking
growing love
Joan.
story, the whole movie.
Good
yeah.
Lord.
No, but it's true. It's true. When we would move on from some gruesome moment, we would leave Rowan and we'd move on and we'd be preoccupied. So in those quiet moments when we
Alone
weren't
with the
paying
cat.
attention to him, he had this cat. And,
Zilla, you make it sound like I was falling to pieces if nobody was looking at me.
I mean, you went through a lot on this. Come on.
This whole sequence was Kevin Scott and Corey DeMeyers and Ashley and Aaron Armstrong putting together this awesome choreography for what this fight was going to be, and taking what's on the page and then really rehearsing it, playing with it, then bringing Jim and Jamie in and saying, how do we make this feel not just like a kitchen brawl, but it's like dramatic, almost intimate, kind of a passionate fight, and bring as much expression and emotion as there.